In this video, I introduce you to rigging and weight painting. By the end of the video, you can expect to have a fully rigged character which is ready for animating. I was going to cover animating in this episode, but unfortunately I ran out of time, meaning I had to split this episode into two parts. In part 2, we'll cover a range of animations and also take a look at shape keys, which can be used for more detailed animations. Have you ever wanted to create a game before? What if I told you you could be creating content like this in a month? Hi, my name's John and Beardgames is my YouTube channel. I'm currently in production of a 30-day tutorial series where I aim to fast track you through the essentials of Unreal Engine, so you can go from where you are now to creating your first game in just 30 days. If that doesn't appeal to you, when I finish the series I'll be taking tutorial requests and working on a multiplayer and mobile game tutorial series. It would be so awesome if you joined us, and together we'll create some kick-ass games. Good morning everyone, I hope you're all doing great. I've got some good news to start off, and that is that our Crash Bandicoot character is looking awesome when imported into Unreal. To anyone who is modelling their own model and not Crash, you can skip to here, because the first few seconds of this video I'll just be explaining some things we have to do to the model before we can proceed. However, what I'm explaining is pretty important when it comes to exporting models from Blender to Unreal, so I would recommend watching it regardless. And without further ado, let's jump into this video. Before we get started, just a quick shout out to Jacoby, who commented saying that you could actually change the shading to smooth. So if you right click your model and change it to smooth, this is just another way of smoothing out your model. Before you go crazy on increasing the subdivision, make sure you give out Shade Smooth a try, because you may not need to increase the subdivision as much as you think you do. Another thing we need to do before we actually get started is go into edit mode, select all of your faces, then press Shift Control N. And what this will do is actually it will change the normals. And what a normal is, it tells the program which way out your model is. So if it's inside out or if it's facing the right way. When we made the mesh and we joined all the different pieces together, for some reason it flipped the normals. So now it thinks the inside is actually the outside. So what we need to do here, normally you'd leave this on inside because obviously you want the inside to be on the inside, but we're actually going to uncheck this. If you don't do this, your model will be inside out like this one. So if your mesh looks like this, whatever setting your recalculate normals is on, if you just flip it, it should go back to its normal way like this one. And the third and final thing we're going to do is just reset the scaling so it is of a scale value of 1. You generally want your mesh to be at a 1:1:1 scale ratio. If it's not, when you scale it, it will just be uneven. So what we're going to do is select the mesh, press Ctrl A and just click scale. And now you'll notice our scaling has gone back to 1. Okay, now we're ready to create some bones. Okay guys, so the first thing we need is an armature. We need some bones. So what I want you to do first is click on your mesh and just make sure it's 0, 0 in the X and Y axis, and then just line up the feet to 0 on the Z. Then I want you to set your marker to the center of the 0, 0, 0 with pressing Shift S and then cursor to world origin. Then we're going to press Ctrl A. No, we're not. We're going to press Shift A and we're going to select armature. And what an armature is basically just the object that controls all the bones, that all the bones are under this object called armature. So the first thing we're going to do is rename it to root. And funnily enough, just having your armature called armature can often glitch out your animation when you import it into Unreal. So just give it a name, give it any name, but not armature, and then you won't have that problem. So now if you look in the right here, we've got a load of tabs. If this green bone is the bone settings, this blue bone is the constraints you can add to your bones, like modifiers like the subdivision surface, and this green man is the armature, the grouping of all those bones. So what I like to do is I actually like to have them in front. Well, everyone likes to have them in front so you can see the bones, but I actually like to have them displayed as sticks, just because I think it's easier, I think they look nice and they're good like that. So what I want you to do, go into edit mode and actually click and drag or B select, and then press G and just bring this nose, its tail all the way down. So the root is just in the middle like that. That will control all the bones, and if we move that, we can just move around our mesh. Now, making sure you're still in edit mode, if you shift right click to position your marker over just above the shorts and press Shift A, Blender will automatically throw in another bone for you. So just move this move this down, and now we're going to make 3 spines. So instead of pressing Shift A again, we're actually going to press Extrude, which will make another bone coming off the other bone. Press Z to make sure it's lined up in the Z axis, and then we're going to keep on doing this. So we want 3 spines in the Z axis, then we want a small neck, so just do a smaller one, and then we want a head up to the top. So if you extrude a bone, it will connect it to the other bone. If you Shift A, you'll be creating a new bone on its own. So now we're going to click just above the neck here, and we're actually going to extrude up to make the shoulder. Then we're going to extrude again to make the upper arm. Then we're going to extrude again to make the lower arm. Then extrude again to make the hand. Now let's jump down to the legs. So Shift right click just on the left side of his leg, and we're going to Shift A. Then we're going to move this down by pressing Z, G then Z, then we're going to press G then X, then we're going to extrude down with Z till it's about there, G then X. Cool. Now we're going to go into side view with 3, and we're just going to line these bones up, and we're going to give ourselves a foot. So B select or just drag select, and then G then Y, then extrude off this in the Y to make a foot. And then move the knee in front of the knee with G then Y. And just line all these up. I'm going to fast forward this bit, but you guys should be capable of doing this by yourselves. Next we're going to go to top view with 7. Then we're going to select these and just move these onto the arm. Okay, that's looking good. Time for the fingers. So click on your hand bone, then we're going to extrude down for the thumb, and then we're going to make 2 extrudes for the actual bending of the thumb. We're only going to allow the thumb to bend twice, and then we're going to do the same for the fingers, but we're going to allow them to bend 3 times. So extrude, 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 and then extrude them. Split the finger into 3, like so. Okay, now there's not really any perfect angle to align these bones into the fingers, so just go free for all and move all your bones into the position of your fingers. I'm going to speed it up, and I'll see you guys when that's done. Okay, what we're going to do now is actually make some control bones. And control bones kind of do what they say in the name. They control the other bones. So they're used for animating. So we're going to put one on the foot here, and then when we move this control bone, when we add some modifiers, it will actually be able to move the entire leg. So instead of having to move each bone individually, we can just move one bone, and then that makes it a lot easier for animating. So the first thing we're going to do is go into side view, and we're going to click on the foot and extrude off here with E and then Y. Then we're going to extrude off the knee as well, just to make a knee reference point. Then we're going to go to front view, and we're going to extrude the elbow. Then we're going to extrude the hand. I like doing this flat on the X axis. So this hand bone and this foot bone are actually going to be what's going to be controlling the movement, and these bones are basically just going to say where the kind of joint is. So this is going to be on the elbow, so what you want to do is actually line this up as much as you can in terms of where you think the actual bend is going to be. And this knee control bone is exactly the same, we just want it lined up here. So we don't actually want these to be connected, so we're going to click on the bones, and then we're going to go into the bone tab, and we're going to uncheck connected. Now you can move it out a bit, or you can leave it there, whatever is good for you. Then we're going to unconnect this one as well, just untick connected, and then it still thinks it's connected. And then just move it out like so. And then we're going to disconnect the hand bone as well by unchecking connected and just moving it out a bit. So every bone needs to be attached to something. It needs to have a parent, and a parent basically means if you move the parent, everything below it will move. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our elbow control, then we're going to click on our shoulder, and we're going to press Control P and keep offset. Then click on this bone here, click on our root, and click Control P, keep offset. Then click on the back of our foot control bone, click on our root, Control P, keep offset. Then click on our knee control bone, click on our foot and Control P, keep offset. We're then going to select the spine, then the root with shift click, Control P, keep offset. If you look in the bone tab, you can actually see what the parent is. So if you click on a bone, look under the bone tab, parent, you can actually see it here. So then we're going to click on the leg, click on the spine, Control P, keep offset, click on the leg, click on the spine, Control P, keep offset. Okay, now it's time to name all these bones. So we're going to go down to our very first bone, click on it, and just call this the root. You can't actually have two bones which have the same name, so we'll just call this the root underscore base. Then we're going to click onto our first spine and call this spine underscore 1, spine underscore 2, spine underscore 3. So you can call these whatever you want at this point. Neck, then the head. Now when it comes to the left side, we're actually going to be duplicating these over to the right side, and the way the program knows how to duplicate it is by having the letter on the end. So if we click on this shoulder and we just type in shoulder underscore L, so now the program knows that's the left shoulder. So if when we come to duplicating it, when we flip it over, a new one will be created called shoulder R, and it will only be created if this left one has the L tag. So make sure you've got the L tag on the end. And then we're going to do the upper arm underscore L, lower arm underscore L. This is going to be called elbow underscore control underscore 1, no, L, or it can just be elbow control actually. Then we're going to do hand control underscore L. I'll do the fingers in a minute. Then we're going to do the thigh underscore, actually no, upper leg, just easier to remember, upper leg underscore L, lower leg underscore L, and then foot underscore L, foot control underscore L, and finally, no, not finally, knee control underscore L, and finally the fingers. So this is the hand underscore L, the thumb 1 underscore L. Okay, so there's loads of different ways you can name the fingers. I like to just put a number at the end of them. So that's thumb 1. Now this is going to be thumb 2 underscore L and thumb 3 underscore L. Now this is going to be the index 1 underscore L, index 2 underscore L, index 3 underscore L, index 4 underscore L, middle 1 underscore L, middle 2 underscore L. I'm actually just going to copy this, might be a bit quicker. Middle 3 underscore L, middle 4 underscore L, and ring 1 underscore L, ring 2 underscore L, ring 3 underscore L, ring 4 underscore L. Okay, so when dealing with bones, you've actually got an additional mode you can be in. So we've got object mode, where you can move the entire object. You've got edit mode, where you can edit what the bones look like, the shape they're in, and then you've got pose mode. So if you press Control Tab, you'll actually enter pose mode. And pose mode allows you to move certain bones in different ways to pose your character for animations. And what pose mode also allows us to do is to add effects onto certain bones. And what these effects are called, they're called constraints. So if you click on our leg bone here, then click on this bone here, we can add a constraint. Constraint is similar to modifiers on the mesh where we added the subdivision, but it's just an effect for a bone basically. and we're going to add inverse kinematics. And what inverse kinematics basically does is it allows you to move other bones when you move one bone. So when we move this control bone, we can tell this leg and anything connected to this leg to move along with it to make animating easier. So have your inverse kinematics. For the target, we need to set the armature, the object of bones, which is called root, if you named it the same as me. Next, we need to select the control bone, which is going to be doing the movement, and that is our foot control. Then we need to set the knee reference, so we need to bring in our armature again, and then off our armature we need to select the knee control bone because that's our reference point. We then need to set our chain length to 2. This basically says how many bones around this bone is going to be affected, so we actually want 2 for the leg, and you'll now notice that our bones have gone all twisted. And I don't know the exact details behind it, but what you need to do is change the pole angle until your knee moves back to its original position, more or less. Okay, now you'll notice if you select this bone and you move it, we have our knee. So now you can understand why animating is a lot easier when we can just animate this bone instead of doing all the others. So you move that one to move the leg, and then if you move the knee, it will change the angle at which the knee goes. So yeah, once you've moved a bone into position and you want to reset its position, if you just select it, then press Alt-G, it will go back to its original position. Okay, now we need to do the same for the arm. So we do exactly the same. We select the lower arm bone, add a constraint, add inverse kinematics. Then our target is our armature, so that would be root. Then the bone that we're going to be using to move the arm is going to be our hand control. Then this pole target, our second target, is going to be our armature, so that's our root. And then our sort of reference bend point is going to be the elbow, which is the elbow control. So if we put in elbow control. Now, increase the chain iterations up to 2 again. And now you'll notice that your hand's gone all funky again. So just do exactly the same as you did before. And just move your pole angle until it's in the right position. If you've noticed, like me, that your bones actually come out the hand, what you can do is go back into edit mode and just slightly adjust your control bones until they're in a better position. Something like that maybe. And then okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. So now if we move our hand, you will see that the entire hand begins to move and we can start doing cool animations with it. If you find your elbow bends backwards, it bends the opposite way, just go back into edit mode and just move this a little bit further back so it knows that it's going that way and not the opposite way. Just one more thing that I'm going to do before we flip all the bones, I'm actually going to separate this shoulder. It's pretty much personal preference, but I just like the shoulder to be detached. If it will detach, I hope it will. There we go. Okay, once you're happy with all the bones are in line, we can then begin to flip them. So press B or just left click select. I'm still not used to these new hotkeys in 2.8. Select all the bones apart from the ones in the middle. Go up to Tool, if that's not open, press N. Under Tool, click X axis mirror. Then we're going to right click and click Symmetrize, and you will notice that all your bones have been flipped. Just quickly uncheck the X axis mirror. And now if you go into pose mode, Control Tab, or if you're already in edit mode, you'll actually get a little pop-up like this. So just press Control Tab, then 2. Then if you move your bones, it will work just like before. So just make sure they all work. Then to move them back, press A to select all, then Alt-G. Cool, so we've got our bones. Now time to pin our mesh to our bones. This is the cool bit. Okay, so we're going to select our mesh, then Shift select our bones, press Control P, and then click with automatic weights. Now this is the really cool bit. If you go back into your bones, press Control Tab to go into pose mode, and you move your bones, you will see our Crash character begins to move with it. Okay, so now we need to do the weight painting. And what weight painting is we're telling the program how much the mesh should move with each bone. So when we move this hand, you'll notice that the eyes and the ears move. Obviously we don't want the eyes to move when we move this hand, so we need to weight paint it and get rid of this so it doesn't move when we move this arm. We need to get back into object mode, so we're going to press Control Tab. Then with our bone selected, with our armature selected, we're going to click on them, then shift click on the mesh, then click Control Tab, then go onto 7, click or press 7, and now we're onto the weight painting mode. So first I'm going to explain the controls, and then I'm going to show you what I think is the most effective way to weight paint. So where the mesh is painted a different color than blue is where the bone is controlling that part of the mesh. We have a little toolbar here in the top left, and here we can add more paint, more control to the bone, or we can subtract. You don't really need to worry much about these, just add, subtract, those are your basics. If you right click, you can change the strength of your brush. So if you have it on a low strength, it won't paint very much, or if you have it on a high strength, it'll paint lots. Radius is how big your circle is, and weight is just like strength, where if it's high, it'll paint a lot, and if it's low, it won't paint very much. And those are the basics. To make it easier, you can change modes by going to wireframe, and then you can see things a bit easier. And a little trick that I like to use is where we can actually select parts of the mesh and just remove all the paint straight away. So if we select this control bone, you'll see that it's controlling the bottom of this ankle. So if we go back onto object mode with Control Tab, go onto the mesh. If you just select the mesh, then under Object Data Properties, we can assign and remove weight painting here. So we were talking about the foot control left. So foot control left, if we click remove now, then we go back onto our weight painting by clicking our bones, clicking our mesh, Control Tab 7, you will see that there's no more weight there. So that's a very easy way to remove lots of weight in one go, and especially for things like the mouth where you can't control it very easily, that's just one way. So the first thing I like to do when I begin weight painting is going onto the mesh, selecting everything, and then removing all the weight paint for the control bones, because we don't want the control bones to have any weight paint, we just want the control bones to move the bones which have weight paint on. So just scroll through looking for knee control, remove, foot control, remove, hand control, remove all the control bones. We just want to remove all the paint from them. Just like the control bones, we also need to make sure the root bone has no control over anything. So go into your mesh, select the entire mesh, go into weight paint mode, and then find the root bone. Then just remove any control it has. I then like to move on to doing the key features. Things like the things around the shorts, his eyes, his eyebrows. I like to remove all the control over any bones which are just wouldn't have any control over those things. Such as, I don't know, as the neck is so close to the eyes, the neck probably has some control over the eyeballs, or the spine probably has some control over the string because they're so close. So I like to sort all that out. So I'm going to go back into edit mode, then start pressing L on all these features to select all the components and the hair. Then I'm going to go to front mode, go transparent mode, and I'm just going to select all the nose, the ears, When you've selected all the key features that you only want the head to control, you can then go back into weight paint mode with 7, and then you can, if you just press tab, you can flick through and start removing the control they have. So we're on neck right now, and we've got the eyes selected. If we click remove now, the eyes are no longer going to get moved when we move the neck. Now we can do the same for the rest. Oops. So if you just press control then click, it will automatically go onto that bone, then go back into edit mode, remove, change bone, remove control, spine, remove upper arm, other upper arm. Okay, so the next bit we're going to do is the little string on the front. So if we go into edit mode, select it, then go into weight paint mode, we want to get rid of the spine having any impact on it. So if we go into spine, back into mesh, remove from spine 1, remove from spine 2, remove from spine 3, anything which is close enough that it might impact it. So once you've done all the key features and you've gotten rid of the root and the control bones from controlling any of the mesh, the best thing you can do is just to move your mesh into really awkward positions and see if anything's dragging where it shouldn't do. So for example, if I moved this foot up and the foot was being dragged back, it means that something's pulling it back, so somewhere along this foot or on the trousers might be controlling it, pulling it back. So just keep on playing around with it until you can find it and then subtract it. A good thing that I like to do is if something is pulling this foot, I like to select the whole foot and then just remove all the control from all the bones except from the ones which are closest, like the foot and maybe the upper leg. So that means I don't have to even scan for which bone it is. I can just eliminate all the bones weighted, all the weight from all the bones straight away apart from the foot and the leg. So now it's up to you guys. Weight paint it until you can move it into all sorts of positions and it doesn't distort too hard for you guys. And I'll meet you guys for the animation section. Okay guys, I ran out of time. I tried so hard to get everything done, but unfortunately I'm going away this weekend, so I can't do any of it, and I wanted to upload this before I went away. So I'm really sorry about not showing you animations in this video, but it will come very shortly, so you can get excited about it. But you should have now. You should have a character which has bones, and you should have it weight painted to the point where you can move it into different positions and it won't distort or anything like that. And next week you can get excited because we're going to be animating this bad boy, and that's going to be really cool. And we're going to do things like shape keys, which can be used to move the eyes around, so that's going to be awesome as well. I'd rather spend a bit more time on it than rush it and it not be as good. And yeah, I already feel like I've rushed this video a bit, but I just really wanted it to get it out to you guys. But that all being said, I hope this video helped you guys out. Thank you for watching as always. Thank you for the support, and I'll catch you in the next video.